Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Ndora, your host for today, and I've got to say it's an honor once again to be with you in conversation with the voices of childhood cancer to hashtag give some hope. And I want to thank you all very much for joining CHOC Childhood Cancer Foundation South Africa, this International Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, as we engage with some of the most inspirational voices to hashtag give some hope. Now, CHOC, if you don't know, but I'm sure all of you pretty much know the amazing work that the CHOC Childhood Cancer Foundation does. It's a non-profit organization that advocates for the health and well-being of children and teenagers diagnosed with cancer or life-threatening blood disorders and their families. And our mission is to support them and their families, improving early detection and augmenting effective treatment. So it's important that every childhood cancer patient has access to comprehensive care and support, specialized treatment, medicine, as well as medical care. The Department of Health, in collaboration with various local and international stakeholders, including CHOC, Childhood Cancer Foundation South Africa, and the World Health Organization, the WHO, has spent the month of September creating awareness on the impact of cancer in many children and their families around the country. And this to ensure that children with childhood cancer in South Africa are diagnosed early for successful treatment and are never left behind. So childhood cancer is one of the leading causes of disease-related past infancy in children and adolescents. So several barriers impede the early diagnosis and referral of the child with cancer to specialized treatment centers. In high-income countries with 20% of the world's children with cancer, survival rates are more than 80%. While the situation is very different in low and middle-income countries where survival is as low as 20 to 30%. Fortunately, though, children with cancer in South Africa have a much better outcome of between 55 to 60%, which is great news. So, yeah, it's an important message that we like to share, and it's great to have these conversations. And we also must remember that better survival is achievable, hashtag through better hands. We must not forget always to pay tribute to the families and the caregivers and the positive impact that they've been having on the lives of children and adolescents with cancer. Our CEO at CHOC, Hedley Lewis, calls on South Africans to unite, hashtag give some hope, as we work together to achieve the WHO's target to ensure at least 60% survival in low and middle income countries, and also to reduce the suffering of children with cancer by 2030, and that's worldwide. So once again, thank you all very, very much indeed for joining us as we listen to the experiences, the voices of people who do give hope in a very special way, not only to childhood cancer patients and survivors, but also to every person who might be listening. And so thank you for all of those people that have logged in right now to watch this live. And also, if you've logged in a little bit later on and you're watching this as a podcast, thank you so much for watching, and we appreciate your presence. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you about our next guest, and somebody very, very special. He's born and raised in Johannesburg. Musa's life took an unexpected turn, I must say, when he was diagnosed with bone cancer. I'm just getting a message here to make sure that I'm on the right page here. He was diagnosed with bone cancer at the tender age of 11, despite facing a challenging journey that led to an amputation of his left leg. Musa's passion for soccer and unyielding spirit guided him towards an even more profound discovery, though, and that's the art of dance. In 2023, Musa achieved an historic moment in Britain's Got Talent, receiving the first ever group golden buzzer, unanimously impressing all the judges and they pressed the buzzer, propelling him straight into the live shows. And what a special moment that turned out to be. With unwavering determination, Musa pursued his newfound passion. And today, well, he stands as an internationally acclaimed and award-winning performer and an inspiration to countless individuals who've been touched by his story. All right, I'm hoping we've got Musa on the line. Musa, are you there? Musa? All right, we don't have Musa just yet, but what I'm hoping we've got the session that he did on Britain's Got Talent. Let's take a look at why we're all so very excited.
Your name, please.
My name is Musa Motha. I'm originally from South Africa, but I've recently moved to London.
Oh, you did? Fantastic. Tell me about you, please.
I got diagnosed with cancer when I was young. That's led to the amputation. And yeah, I was a football player before I got amputated. And then after my amputation, I fell in love with music. My friends, they were dancing at that time. I asked them to teach me how to dance. So they threw like boxes on the floor, and then they were like, okay, this is how you do it. Your left crotch, use it as a left leg. And then that's how it started. And then I'm in London, I'm in UK, I'm in my favorite country, England. This is the perfect time for me to actually reach out to more people and inspire a lot of people out there. And yeah, that's
incredible. So, how long have you spent preparing for this audition?
Since I think forever. I've been imagining myself on stage, and now it's happening. I'm like, yeah, that's.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Okay, well, look, no more questions.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy.
Can you imagine what it's been? No.
These four lonely walls have changed the way I feel. The way I feel. I'm standing still. And nothing else matters now. You're not here. So where are you? I've been calling you. I'm missing you. Chasing you. Memories turn to dust. Please don't bury us. I got you. I got you. I'm ready to face it all. If I lose myself, I lose it all. I'm far from the things that changed. Still standing still. I'm running still. I'm running still. And every voice that cried inside my head forever tried. I'm counting lives. If I lose myself, I lose it all.
Sensational. Sensational. I've never seen anything like that. That was amazing.
Here I stand, taking off my crown, and I run with nowhere to hide. I'm exposed, floating on. You're still here, and that's something beautiful.
That's a proper ovation, that.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, that's something beautiful. Oh, that's something beautiful. And that's something beautiful. Oh, that you are here with me. That's something beautiful.
Sorry, guys.
We've got no golden number.
We've got no left.
That's something beautiful.
That was one of the most extraordinary auditions that I think I've ever seen on this show. So much admiration for you, everything you've been through. You're clearly somebody, no matter what they put their mind to, you will achieve it. So well done.
That was exceptional. We all agree with that. Listen to me. We used them all. We used them all for cars. Please, please. If they do it again, they kill me. But no, they're going to kill me.
That's something beautiful. And that's something beautiful. That's something beautiful.
They're going mad.
That's who are here with me.
You're an artist. You really are. It's fantastic.
I think one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in all the years I've done this show. Genuinely. Amazing. Look at this. Look, but this is not us. It's for you, not for us. It's for you. Take your bow.
Musa, so good to have you. You got me in tears, man. This is terrible. I'm an old man. take me back to that moment, and how was it? Because I just get a sense that everybody is moved every time they see that. And for you, it must be testimony about what can happen, what is possible when you put your mind to something.
Yes, I mean, like, well, first of all, I'd like to greet everyone in here, and thank you for this appreciation. Yeah, and it's also an honor to be speaking with you right now, you know.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean,
Cheers, man.
yeah. Every time I watch that video as well, I get tears. So of what's happening in my mind, you know. But what really, like, you know, get into me was I was actually going through a lot, like, during the period of like going into those auditions. Even on the day, I was traveling long distances from London to Manchester to do the auditions and all. And then at the end of the day, that's what happened, you know. And I was asking God, I'm like, okay, now I'm listening to you. What do you want me to do? You know, that was like my full-on submission to God. I'm like, I appreciate your presence, and it got me into tears too. You know? And again, it's one of those moments where I'm like, you know what, everything happens for a reason. There was a push from the get-go, and there was that moment of like, I have to do this. I had that feeling of like, I have to do this, you know, until I get on the day. And then I was so calm the whole day, even after the audition, after the whole vibe, I was so calm. Until I got to my place, you know, that's where I started to like kind of like think about it. The feeling came up, you know, thinking about the people, thinking about the judges, thinking about like, oh, that was the first time that happened in the history of the Got Talent, you know. And yeah, it was really amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
Wow. Wow. Very, very special. And I mean, you know, your story, let's go back to your childhood, because it was not easy, I'm guessing, to find out that you got cancer, and then they tell you that they're going to have to amputate your leg. And this is somebody who had dreams about becoming a footballer. Take us through that journey, how difficult it was, and how you found yourself on the other side, because I think your story is one that gives us all hope.
Yes, I mean, first of all, when I found out when actually we got the results back from, you know, the biopsy, you know, it was a shock for my family, you know, but for me, I was young. And before that, I was sick for a long time, for like a year or so. You know, I was just on bed, doing nothing. And I was kind of like getting depressed about like, what is this? What's going on? You know, because we didn't know what was going on. You know, even like I've been traveling from hospital to hospital, doctors, private doctors, specialists and all, but they couldn't find out what was happening. So that was quite like frustrating. And my knee was actually getting swollen every day. You know, it was big and it was painful. I even lost the sense of walking at that time. So
Wow.
when they told me that, yo, this is what is happening, you have cancer, and then they diagnosed me. For me, it was some sort of like, oh, there's hope, you know, there's hope in terms of like, now they know what is this, meaning they will have a solution for it, you know. But for my family, it was kind of like, oh my days, what's going to happen now? You know, this is so dangerous, you know, and there's no easy comeback from cancer, you know. But for me, I was young, I couldn't understand that. I took it as like, oh, I have a flu, or I'm just sick, you know, I just need to get treatment and then, you know, go back home. But yeah, after that, they actually told me that, I think I went back to Ward 43, to Baragwanath, and they told me that, okay, we're gonna start with the chemotherapy. They explained everything to my mom, to my parents actually. And then after that, I think I started with the chemo, and then I took it for like 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, they were like, yeah, we literally cannot, you know, continue because we don't know, you know, how far it traveled. The only way to get on with this is to let's just amputate, you know, amputate the leg, you know, just to be sure with everything, you know. And for me as well, I was just like, I mean, I lost the sense of walking. I lost the sense of, you know, standing up straight because of the leg was really painful, you know. And then yeah, I kind of like was brave enough to say to my mom, yeah, it's fine, let them do it. You know, it's okay. I mean, I've been using the leg for like a year, close to 2 years. So it was more of like I didn't have it anyway. So like let us just, so that I can get back to my life, go back to school, play with other kids, So yeah, we kind of like had like an agreement as a family, like, oh, let's just do amputation. And after the amputation, I continued my treatment until I finished it.
So then the football dream, I mean, you carried on playing a little bit, didn't you? And then
Yes.
how did you discover the music and the dancing? Because it's almost as if your life was opening new doors as one was closing.
Yes, I mean, with football, so before I was playing football for my amputation, before I got sick, and then yeah, I got kicked on my knee, but wouldn't say that was a cause of cancer. I think it was just like a coincidence and an alarming thing going on. Because after that, every night I just like got pains on my knee, and I started to walk funny, and my knee, that's where it started to like swell up a bit, you know. So yeah, and then after my amputation, I played football again. I tried to play football a little, and then my friends like were there for me, and then I used to practice, when they went to school, and then when they come back, I have new skills, I have more stamina, I have more stability, I used to play with them. And then until I became like, really good at it, I used to play with like, it was just me with like a different able person, and then it was just like able bodies, I was playing like, like professionals and all, but, under around 15 and the 16, and then there was this other day we won the tournament, and then we went to our friend's place. We were just celebrating there, and my friends were dancing in the car. We were just dancing. They were dancing in school, and then like that was like back in 2010. And then I was really fascinated with like how are they doing this, because I used to go to them with them when you go to like street battles, dance competitions and all. And I always wanted to be on stage with them. And then now I get this opportunity to ask them to teach me how to dance. So I kind of like asked them to teach me how to dance, and then that's what they did. And then after that's how my relationship with dance started. But I've always had love for music, because I was a DJ before then. So yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, Britain's Got Talent definitely opened a window, but before that, you just had hope. You just was, somebody wanting to dance and trying to do this thing. And I just wonder how you stayed motivated, because until that door opened, it must have been difficult to see how this could have been a profession for you.
Actually, before I went to the BUGT, I was working, or which I'm still working at this company in London, in the UK. So I've been like, having a good kind of like a career path. But yeah, I was just working in this company, underdog kind of type of person, And then until I went to BUT, and then it opens the windows and doors and everything, and yeah, it really motivated me to kind of like believe in my dreams, and nothing really is impossible. I proved that myself. And yeah, I think it was just about that like, yeah, BGT opened up more doors for me, and it gave me more platform to be seen by a lot of people. And again, it's more of like, when I went to the BGT, I was not going there to win, but to reach out to a lot of people, and preach out and be like, let's restore the belief in yourself. And yeah, that's just what's up.
So what do you tell young people, especially those that are going through treatment, and some that might even be facing the idea of perhaps losing a limb? And it's not great news, but here you are, literally standing tall in spite of all that's happened. What do you tell young people who might be getting this news for the first time?
It's difficult now that I know what is that. But I would say it's an opportunity to be like on a new stage of life. It's more of like getting into a more matured spirituality or more matured level of life, because if you can check every cancer survivor, they actually think different. They more mature, they more humble, because they know that anything can happen at any time. Your life can just end it like that. You need to appreciate everything you do in life, but I would say they shouldn't be taking it really deep as if like, oh, this is the end of the world, but it's the beginning of the new life, and that's where you get tested with like your perseverance. That's where you get tested of like your belief, how strong do you believe in yourself, and how much positivity you have. So that's more of like when they tell you, okay, you have cancer and you have to go through this. These are the things that you're gonna go and get, chemotherapy, everything that you're gonna get. That's where you need to put your soldier outfit on. Your army, everything, put your guns in there, go to a fight, go and fight this life, I mean, for me, I would say at the end, it's going to be like you've just graduated as like doctor somebody, because you know a lot about life and people are going to come to you asking for advices, you're going to do more things. And it's more of like you getting those ranks in life where you are like, I've accomplished this, I've finished up this, I've defeated this, of which a lot of people don't get the opportunity to defeat it. But I would say you should be strong, believe in yourself and be ready mentally. It's not as bad as a lot of people say, but it's challenging instead, it's
But the
challenging.
new mindset, new mind frame, new way of being. So you are going from strength to strength. I believe you've won an Emerging Artist Award at the National Dance Award 2023. So people are recognizing your talent. I mean, did you know how good you could become when you started dancing?
Oh yeah, you can.
You do.
I mean, you can be nice to me. I've won 2 awards so far, and I've been nominated for the third one. I might win it as well, but the lineup is very tight. But yeah, it's been nice, and I appreciate like the recognition, and that means I've been working hard, and I shouldn't be stopping to work hard. And this is just for me to kind of like prophesy or maybe like show people of like manifestations are really important because I've been manifesting, like I'm gonna get this and that, and yeah, I've been yeah.
And look at you, sound so London now, man.
I tried.
How is Europe? How's it treating you? And are you loving the life out there?
Yeah, Europe is really beautiful. The UK is very beautiful. It's really nice. I mean, the art here is really like prioritized. Yeah, I've been performing ever since I got here, and I've been getting more love. Yeah, it's really nice. It's really good. It's treating me good.
Oh man. Musa, it's been an incredible honor to speak to you. And thank you so much for giving us your time and making an old man cry.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care, Musa. You're a special, special young man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So that's Musa. Who you saw his video on Britain's Got Talent, award-winning performer. He's winning awards, won his second one just now, and it's an incredible story. And at 11 years old, to be told you've got cancer and then to have your leg amputated. For some, they might think that that's the end of it, but you know what? There is hope, and there's always hope. Something special can still happen in one's life, and I think that he in so many ways is the personification of what we're trying to celebrate today, that there is hope. So Musa, thanks so much indeed for giving us an opportunity. And I was crying, I couldn't believe it. There you go. Anyway, let's move on. Our next guest, Professor Alan Davidson, is the head of the Pediatric Hematology Oncology Service at the Red Cross War Memorial Children's Hospital in Cape Town, in South Africa, which is recognized as one of the leading centers in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, he's our past chair of the South African Association of Pediatric Hematology Oncology co-chairs South Africa's annual Pediatric Brain Tumor Workshop, and serves as the president of the Society of Neuro-Oncology in Sub-Saharan Africa. Professor Davidson has been the chair of the International Society of Pediatric Oncology Advocacy Committee since 2021, working with Childhood Cancer International to drive the agenda for International Childhood Cancer Day in February and Gold September each year. And there are so many, many more achievements that we could list and accolades that he's received. But he's quite a modest person and he doesn't want us to go on for too long. But Prof, thank you so, so much indeed for joining us and giving your life's work to do this important work. And I just wonder, working in a pediatric oncology unit, is this a calling? How did you end up being a pediatric oncologist? I mean, it's heartbreaking at times, but I guess rewarding most of the time.
Oh, thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm very honored and privileged to represent our community. But it's a tough act to follow. To talk after.
What, you can't dance?
I got to dry my eyes before I came on, Peter. So. Yeah, funny enough, I'm smart. Just a joke occurs to me, and that is that on occasion people talk about training in pediatric oncology, and they talk about potentially doing the work part-time. And this is like the CIA, you never leave, right? In terms of my personal story, people, I think generally speaking, it's the case that once it grabs you, it grabs you. I kind of fell in love with pediatrics as a medical student. And then when I was a junior doctor, I went to work almost by chance at the Children's Hospital in Birmingham in the United Kingdom, which is where I found oncology. So when I came back to train, then I kind of knew where I was going. I obviously love the kids. I love the family-centered care and also the relationships on all levels.
So how do you keep motivated? Because it is one area that can be heartbreaking at times. But the good stories are always, I guess, the ones that give you hope to carry on.
Yeah, you know, there are many stories of hope. And rather than single out a particular individual story, because we've just seen one, my major message is just really that all of us in the community need to support each other and nurture that community. The biggest message of hope in these sort of in current times is that the Global Initiative for Childhood Cancer, which is a World Health Organization sponsored program to improve early diagnosis, treatment, and achieve better outcomes globally, as well as better survivorship, which is also pertinent. And I'm proud to say that the South African oncology community, both on the on the professional side, if I can call us that, the medics and all the allied professions, and in the advocacy space, is an integral part of the infrastructure of that process. Building knowledge and translating that into action. So that means our own community is being strengthened.
So childhood cancer is very different from adult cancer. So what makes it, in your view, a pediatric oncology unit different to other units?
Well, lots of things. I mean, the diagnosis itself is difficult because it's an entity that's not preventable. And when I say an entity, these are diseases that are not preventable and seldom predictable, and therefore hard to screen for, which is the kind of the zeitgeist in the adult space. On the other hand, the upbeat side of all of this is that once they are diagnosed, they're generally very responsive to all forms of treatment, particularly chemotherapy and radiotherapy, so that the outcomes are good. That's not to say that outcomes for adult cancers are bad, but just that it, it's in the main, it's a there's good, there's how shall I put it? There's when I say there's always hope, that sounds a little bit, it's a generally a diagnosis which carries a reasonable prognosis. I can talk a bit more about that, but you ask your next question, I might come back to something.
Okay. I'm just wondering also, we see you as the doctor, but I know for sure that you work as part of a multidisciplinary team. So take us through the value of having such a team working together and working with children.
Yeah, as you say, everybody's part of the team. Even the cleaning staff, even the janitorial staff in our unit are the ones that will say, by the way, did you notice this? Or there's a very close relationship, and I think that's generally mirrored in most of our units. People outside of medicine may not appreciate how siloed nursing and medics are in themselves, and in fact that we have different hierarchies. We answer to different bosses, the medical manager or the matron, but in the house we work integrally with each other, and along with all the allied professions and the other critical professionals, whether they're surgeons or radiotherapists, etc. I think that's self-evident, though. That's a medical team. What's perhaps more hidden is the fact that the team, the professional team, also includes the patient and the parents, who will say, by the way, what about the medication? And the doctor will go, gosh, thank you very much. So I always remind them that unfortunately that I can't give them a salary, but we do lean on them to help us. And then beyond the medical stuff, there's the question of just the overall positive environment, and siblings, grandparents, extended family, friends are all part of that process. So using that as an example, I think it's really important for us to talk about early diagnosis, and for us to encourage attendance at a clinic or a doctor if you have concerns. But honestly, mostly it will be, thank goodness, not a cancer diagnosis. And our real focus in terms of that awareness is in the communities, is training our nurses and our doctors to recognize the signs. But in terms of families and communities, we have to be very cognizant of the need to support our families and our cancer patients, because it's a really tough place to be in terms of out-of-pocket expenditure and all those extra little things.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking it must be a really tough thing to face parents and tell them that their child is sick, and then there's this journey that they go on. And I suppose that, when the healing does come and the hope does come through, it must be really rewarding for you and your team to tell their parents, your child is getting better, your child is well, this is what's going on.
Yeah, actually, thanks. That's a really nice segue into a point that I wanted to make, which is exactly about that journey. It's lovely to share good news, but that's not my only job. And of course, my job sometimes is sharing difficult news. And that's an impossibly difficult place for a parent to be in, the notion of losing one's child. A priest pointed out to me once that, and I'm not sure people, this may be so self-evident, but I don't know if people have thought about the fact that there's no word in most languages, certainly not in English, for a bereaved parent.
Wow, you're so right. That is fascinating.
It's not the ordinary. So we have widows and widowers, we have orphans, but there's no word, because it's not the natural order of things. But that's not actually the point I wanted to make. It's just like that is part of the process. So we commit. It's a journey, as you say. and we commit to walk with people, whatever the outcome. And I know that even if the outcome is bad, I know I can make a difference, as do all of my colleagues. And I can at least look at myself and say, well, you know, that you did a good job, even if the outcome wasn't perfect. And in that sense, we deal in reasonable hope. So when we start that journey, and that's a really important phrase, reasonable hope, because even hope needs a dose. So you start positive, no matter how dire the situation is, and you've got to be ready to have the difficult conversation, but you've got to start in a positive space. One thing, we don't make promises we can't keep, but we do encourage a positive attitude. I mean, I certainly believe that a positive attitude adds percentage points to survival. If you ask me for a number, I've lost. But
yeah. What I like to always ask doctors like you who've been at it a long time, who've seen a lot of things, and I guess the hope is the medicine is getting better over time, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's certainly true. And if you look at our results over the last century, they've improved immeasurably, and they continue to improve. But I will add, though, just a small cautionary, and that is that the improvement at the top end those are very hard yards. They're hard in all sorts of ways. They're difficult, as we all know, because of these new things cost a lot of money. They're difficult because some of them, but not all of them, bring new complications and side effects. And so that, you know, that's difficult, and we're a little way off that 100% that we're aiming for. Mm-hmm. There are a few diagnoses, and literally I could say you could count them on probably less than 2 hands, where perhaps even 1 hand, but I'm not counting right now, where at the moment we're still in the weeds. But for the vast majority of diagnoses, we're doing pretty well nowadays. And yes, so even when somebody starts a journey, there may be something down the track that may add benefit and improve the outcome.
So if you could give some hope today to patients, to survivors and the medical teams, what would that message be?
Oh, geez, I don't know if I can conjure up a different kind of idea, other than I think looking after each other is probably the most important thing. I mean that as patients, as professionals, and the whole extended team. It's amazing to me how how parents and families look after each other quietly in little ways. So I think the little things really matter.
What have you found that children need to hear the most when they're going through a process like this? What is it that gives them some encouragement and some hope in your experience?
I tell you what, I'm going to be a little bit off piste here, and I'm going to say to everyone, the thing that children that they appreciate the most is direct honesty. Not every single fact, not all holds barred, and it depends on age. Depends. You may have a very willful 14-year-old have a very different sort of perspective on life compared to a very quiet little 8-year-old. But the one thing that we got to be is honest with our kids at all times, and particularly they ask a direct question. That's the first thing. Now you got me started, Peter, and you have to stop me. But the other thing is, man, rules and regulations. Kids like structure, and they shouldn't be allowed to get away with stuff because they're sick. You know what I mean? So a little bit of gentle discipline is also important. There are things they can choose: pajamas, toys, puzzles, whatever. Maybe when they do their homework, not if. But medicine must be taken. Like you got to take your tablets, but you can change your pajamas. Stuff like that. That just.
So just create as normal a life as possible.
Exactly.
All right. Professor Davidson, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so, so much indeed. And we're grateful for the work that you've continued to do for so many years, you and your teams, and we wish you strength to carry on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Peter. And remember, I'm just the guy speaking for all the other guys, non-gender specific, right?
Yeah, but doing amazing work, all of you. Thank you so much. All right, that's Professor Ellen Davidson, who's the head of the Pediatric Hematology Oncology Service at the Red Cross War Memorial Children's Hospital in Cape Town in South Africa. So there you have it. Kids just want to be kids. Yes, they may be ill. Yes, they may be going through a lot, but as normal a life as possible, a very important message coming through there, and care for each other, which I think is a wonderful message coming there from Professor Davidson. Okay, let's talk to Lawrence Mbuyane, who's a social worker at the Pediatric Oncology Unit at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital for 3 years, and before being promoted to Chief Social Worker at CHOC National Office. Thanks so much indeed for joining us, Lawrence. Welcome to you.
Thank you, Peter, and greetings to the viewers at home as well as the colleagues who have joined us in this platform.
All right, so now CHOC has 10 social workers, 5 social auxiliary workers working in 10 pediatric oncology units throughout South Africa. I wonder if you can tell me, what is the value of having a CHOC social worker in a pediatric oncology unit?
Okay, thank you, Peter. I think I will start by just giving you a little bit background on cancer diagnosis and hospitalization. When a child is diagnosed with cancer and has been hospitalized, that alone has a significant negative impact on the child, the family, and the people that the child interacts with on a day-to-day basis and the community at large. Mostly, it is the child that is significantly affected, as well as the primary caregiver of that particular child. So the negative impact that it has on the child, it includes the emotional trauma. When we facilitate the disclosure process of breaking off the bad news or breaking off the diagnosis to the family, it comes as a shock to the family, which has a significant psychological impact and emotional impact, if I can put it that way. And looking at the nature of the journey on its own, Peter and the viewers at home, it doesn't only affect you emotionally, but it also has an impact on your pocket as a parent or your pocket as a caregiver or the family as a whole. There are a lot of financial constraints that comes along with the journey of being diagnosed with cancer as a patient. And in that process, being diagnosed with a diagnosis generally, on its own, it's traumatic. So you can imagine a child being diagnosed with cancer and the news are being delivered to the child or to the family. So there are a lot of negativities around the diagnosis of a child that includes anxiety and stress. And at some point, if they are not well attended, it can lead to actually depression. So that is where the value of a social worker within the pediatric oncology unit is being seen. Because when the families comes, because majority of the time, the families that we are saving, they come from different provinces. Some of them, they come as far as from rural provinces. They've never been exposed to big hospital as your academic hospital like Bara, Steve Peak, or Charlotte McLecker, you can name them. So for a social worker to be there is to receive the family, provide counseling to the family, welcome them so that they can feel welcome, and as well as provide emotional support. And along the process, Peter and the viewers at home, it is a responsibility of the social worker to ensure that their families are well orientated around the unit so that the child can get a sense, or the family can get a sense of where the child will be admitted, where the child will be receiving medical procedures, and also at the same time, giving the family an opportunity to build good or meaningful relationships with other families who already been there in the ward, and the child, it gives them an opportunity to build meaningful relationship with other children who've been admitted or who've been in the unit. So basically, that is the role of a social worker, to make the family feel comfortable, ensuring the family that as much as this day journey, it's very difficult, there is someone who is there to provide emotional support, counseling, and walk the journey with you. Be it the outcomes can be that it's not curable, or in a case where it's curable, the family needs to know that there is someone who is available to walk the journey with you. So basically, that is the value of having a CHOC social worker within the pediatric oncology unit.
You know, you've been at this game for nearly 4 years now, working in pediatric oncology. And I just wonder sometimes, you know, when people go into certain areas and certain professions, whether pediatric oncology, did you choose it or did it choose you?
It's quite an interesting question, Peter. So I'll just narrate a bit with my background within the social work field. I started to practice back then in 2014 as a social worker. I've been working for various child protection organizations until in 2020. Along the years, as I was practicing in child protection organizations, it has always been my dream to be within a medical setting or practice medical social work, but the opportunities are very, very limited, if I can put it that way. And in 2020, during COVID-19, I was very much fortunate to get an opportunity to join the psychosocial support team within CHOC and be part of the social workers within CHOC. And quite interesting, as much as I was happy for the opportunity, I was not expecting to be in such a very high stressful environment like it is. I thought the medical setting, you just going in there and you do your job as a social worker normally. But however, the work environment within the hospital setup, especially in the pediatric oncology unit, it comes with quite a lot of emotional stress, if I can put it that way. Fortunate enough to get good support within the CHOC organization to support us as social workers. But I felt this is not for me, honestly speaking, Peter. At some point, I searched for other opportunities and I was fortunate enough to be awarded another opportunity elsewhere. But as I was on the exit point, as Prof was actually indicating that you fall in love with this profession or this field of oncology, peds oncology unit, and getting in it's easy, but getting out it's very difficult. So I got attached to an extent that I was caught between a solid face and a hard rock, and I couldn't be able. But then I sat down and did self-introspection to check, where am I happy? What are my strengths? Am I happy with what I'm doing? Looking at the impact that I am doing, the tangible impact that I'm actually, the families that I'm impacting within the pediatric oncology unit, that is when I realized that my strengths lie in the pediatric oncology unit. And I had no choice but to apologize to the other potential employer to say, I'm currently not available. So in short, Peter, the pediatric oncology unit, it calls you. You don't choose. Once you are in, there is no way out.
We are so grateful that you've answered the call and that you continue to do this fine work in this environment, because as you described at the beginning there, that support is so important for the family. Perhaps maybe we can just end in terms of giving us a message of hope for the listeners today. What would that message be that you want to leave us with?
Early detection saves lives. If many patients can be detected at an early stage, many lives can be saved.
And that is such a powerful story and a powerful statement, and one that we'll keep on saying, because it does make all the difference. And sometimes as parents, we want things to just disappear quietly without us intervening, but it's better to go and, you know, be overcautious than undercautious, isn't it? Go and bother the doctors, let him rather say there's nothing wrong with your child, go home, than to wait. So thanks so much for that. And thank you for the work that you continue to do, my brother.
Thank you, Peter.
Lawrence, thank you so much indeed. That's Lawrence, Chief Social Worker at CHOC National Office, talking to us about the importance of the work that social workers put in this process. All right, it's time. Gosh, I can't believe how quickly this webinar often disappears and ends, but time for some final thoughts. And to do that, it's my great pleasure to welcome our CEO, Hedley Lewis.
Hi, Peter. Yeah, a special thank you to all the listeners. I think that today is an important milestone where we got to speak to Musa directly, but just as importantly, we got to hear from all the members or some of the members of the multidiscipline team. You know, when you hear Musa's story, you can hear the medical fraternity that are guarding and working together with them. When you hear Lawrence's story, you can only but hear that support and love and care for these families. I think that today we just need to pay tribute to the thousands of medical professionals across the world that are really supporting these families and children on a minute by minute, on a daily basis. And not just as we as a country, we're proud of the Musas of the world, but we are also humbly thankful to the likes of Professor Alan Davidson, to Lawrence as he guides and supports, to the many NGOs and to the many support structures across the world and the country that have just one inkling of hope, and that hope is to support these families. So today I can only just but say thank you so much to Prof, to Lawrence, to Musa, and to you, sir, as well, Peter. I mean, you here during this entire journey, and CHOC is incredibly thankful for your support. We share tears, we definitely share smiles when there are those opportunities. And most importantly, we thank our tech team and all of those people that have come together to make not just this webinar very special, uplifting and enhancing, as well as inspiring, but also we thank all of the global leaders that are on this journey on a daily basis and on a minute-by-minute basis.
Hedley Lewis, CEO, CHOC, thank you so much indeed, and your leadership is greatly appreciated as well. Thank you so much for those final thoughts. And to everybody who's been watching, thank you so much indeed for joining us on this CHOC webinar, and we certainly look forward to seeing you at the next one. If you have any questions and you need to refer a child or you may have who may have cancer, please visit the CHOC website. The website is www.choc.org.za, and refer a child and we'll contact you. So please reach out, and please also click on the events just to find out what exciting events are on the calendar, what's coming up, and register for it. And yeah, just go out there and help, reach out, give a hug, care for each other, and there is hope. I think this is the overwhelming message that we've been hearing today. Early detection is by far and away the first line of defense. The outcomes are so much better if we watch out for those symptoms and talk about it with other people so that they too know what those symptoms are to look out for, but also that there is hope. There is always hope. There's probably another superstar waiting to be born as we speak. So everybody, thank you so much indeed. It's been a pleasure, and always look forward to sharing this time with you. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you again at the next one. Bye-bye.